create a wall that walks the line. There's a rare few who think outside the box together for the crew. To break the equations, not bound to any rule. Exposing to the world the universe's own view. It takes the talent of the craftsman, it takes the mind of the fool, to make the vision realize energy and matter in a duel. To a break, to a duel. The old man, bills was running through his head. Cheryl probably got it hiding under his bed. Penny up the ante, making power for days. Don't listen to a word that the straight dope says. Mike building batteries to power a ship. Victor comes to talking math, that's the water spiral dip. Sean chucking plasma volts a mile long. Sheila on the video making tone chucking prongs. Bernie breaking matter, they said it couldn't be done. And to all the people in the chat, I know you're having fun. So it's time to spend your Saturday with the doping old man Bills.
Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Bill. Joe, what's up?
Hey everybody, what's doing? Happy Friday.
Oh man, we're going to be talking about some laminate flow today. I keep wanting to say
laminar flow, man. Laminar flow.
Oh man, I screwed this up so bad. Yeah, sorry about that. Laminar flow. The kind of flow that goes out straight, the kind that old men don't have.
Truth, man.
Oh man, what's up, guys? Thank you all for joining us today, man. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun topic, man. We get to talk about water and how it flows, and then the different beauties of it. You know what I mean? It goes nice and clean, and laminar flow goes straight, and then turbulence. It looks like me after drinking too many beers, man, and that's what it looks like. We're not hitting the side of the barn, man. That's bad.
Yeah, you know, it's really a super interesting topic, I think, just in what it is, you know, but it's important to understand that how important like hydrodynamics is when it comes to the flow patterns that we see in electromagnetics. That's the best way to understand how fields build out and some of the different reactions that you can get. Believe it or not, it's similar how to create different flow patterns, whether it be laminar or turbulent, even if it's a stabilized turbulent flow pattern. It's all to do with geometry and measure over time, right? Which is exactly the same as we see on the electromagnetic side of things. So you know, it's not analogous; it's actually exactly the same. So it's important to have these understandings if you want to build different field patterns out of your electrical experiments.
So let me ask you this. So if we took a toroid, right?
Yeah.
You'd probably get laminar flow in the center. But what about the outside? Do you think it would build out the same way?
Run that by me one more time. I'm sorry.
In a toroid,
yeah,
just a donut shape, you probably get laminar flow in the center. Right? It probably goes straight through the center. But what about the outside? So if it builds back out into a bubble or something like that, would that also be laminar flow?
Yeah, I mean, right. So whenever you have a laminar flow, it's going to want to stay in that stable state as long as it can. Okay. And it generally breaks apart as a result of, you know, the geometry to flow rate ratios, okay, being out of sync with one another. So the, you know, laminar flow patterns, when they're out of sync, you know, they'll fall apart and become turbulent. And turbulent, the whole nature of a turbulent flow is that it ends up being in a more diffuse state. Okay, so as long as you have everything correct, it should want to stay laminar. You know, and that's where like tuning comes into play.
So I put up a picture on the screen, Joe. Take a look at it. Is this kind of what you're seeing? We don't get to see the center of what would be the toroid, but like the outside of it.
Well, actually you do, because the tube itself that's running the water through is the center of the toroid.
Oh, okay.
It's just, you have to understand that, you know, you know, because of the physics involved with the mediums, right? You know, water and air, the center has no way to contain itself like that. although that's not entirely and 100% true, because you could have a laminar jet, in the center, but then the odds of that ending up being laminar on the outside as well, that would have to be like a highly, highly specific tuned, almost fluke type incident, for it to have a 360-degree laminar dispersal of the fluid. It's just all variables. It's a hyper specific variable that would create both a laminar inside, uncontained, and outside. But in that case, you can see the center. It's just contained within the tube.
Okay. So let's take a look at another one, Joe.
Sure.
So I kind of see both in this. So you see the rocks and stuff, it's turbulence everywhere, and then you see the nice peaceful spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the same as like a wind tunnel test that you would see. Anytime you have something, in that case, aerodynamic, right? You're going to have a laminar flow that is able to continue along the surface of travel of the medium, and that's what you're seeing right there. Now, anywhere that it's non-aerodynamic, it's unable to maintain that structure, so it goes into turbulence.
Gotcha.
But what's interesting, though, more interesting than what might be obvious, is if you look just before it becomes turbulent, where the white water starts, it is laminar. And where it is laminar, it actually slips beneath, up and to the right.
Up and to the right?
It slips underneath the turbulence patterns.
Oh, right up here?
Yeah. So you could see that the laminar flow there actually starts to break up, but continues to be laminar beneath the surface, okay, as it begins to transcend into a turbulence. Those turbulence end up kicking back up, and that is the turbulent.
Kind of like a waterfall where the salmon are trying to go up it, right? Where it's nice and clean, you know what I mean? At the bottom, it's all choppy, and then the bears eat them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't leave the bear out of that statement. Like,
no.
Just as cliche as it gets, swiping them out of the air, or getting them right in the mouth, throwing a dog a ball.
Oh, sorry. That was my flow. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. That's a healthy stream.
So, yeah, only some days. Yeah, this looks pretty cool, man. This is all peaceful. And then what I'm looking at is kind of weird where it goes into the water. Let's see if I can't zoom in a little bit. There's not a lot of turbulence. That's probably a bad picture to see it.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you really can't observe in a photo like this, but that's worth mentioning, is the sound that actually makes, or I should say lack thereof. Okay, so whenever you have something in a laminar state, it's pretty damn close to silent. And then when it makes an impact into other water, sometimes it could remain in the laminar state, and then you don't get that water fountain trickle sound, or like the whooshing, rushing water sound like you would from a normal turbulent fountain or waterfall or something like that. It's almost splashless. Because it's actually the interference, the splash, that actually creates the audible sound off of moving water.
That's just cool. Here we go. Oil usually puts it off, huh?
Well, right. Viscosity is a big part of the equation, and again, if you're looking at it as something analogous in an electromagnetic spectrum, you're looking at saturation at that point, field saturation. So the viscosity has a lot to do with it, and the thicker the medium is, generally the more likely it is to want to maintain a laminar state.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, it's got more mass, and therefore it has less chance of disturbance. Well, not necessarily more mass. That wasn't the right way to put it. Kind of caught myself on that one.
It's a
But
viscosity, is what you're
the
saying.
viscosity is,
So
viscosity is a weird thing when you think about it, because it's not because it doesn't have what to do with mass. That's where I kind of got tripped up on that.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
one's got a lot of clean lines in it, and then it hits the bottom and just goes to poo. But it almost looks like plastic wrap.
It absolutely does. And, again, it's a flow and geometry equation. So if you have one rock, one small rock, and you put that somewhere in that flow pattern, it's going to change and have a much higher occurrence of turbulence where that one off-put rock is, if it's not in, hydrodynamic, sync with the flow rate. So, that's what I'm saying about the geometry of the systems. If one thing's out of whack, it's going to screw up a whole portion of it, and it's going to destroy your flow pattern.
So let me ask you this: we talk about Schauberger sometimes, and he's always talking about the river flow, and when it kind of comes into the curve, right, and where it makes energy and where it doesn't. So which part of that river is the laminar flow, and then which one is the turbulence, in order to show the effect that he's looking at?
Well, I mean, if that's hard to say, really, because I mean, it's usually the outside curve that would have the more laminar property, just because. Well, what does a river have? A river has banks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the banks of the river. Well, the river, the banks of the river are called that because it's like a banked turn, on the outside curve. The inside curve of it is it's too acute to continue that laminar state, right? So then it kind of breaks and folds onto itself, and that folding onto itself would create a turbulent. And that's with no other geometric factors other than water flowing and a curve.
I'm just wondering, because he used it in all of his experiments, you know what I mean, to get the turbulence in there as he had it, but then he had to use a lot of flows in his device that he built for it, because he went from the medium of water to air and then doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool stuff. I remember they used to have these I'm going way back. I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s. I remember they used to have like these lamps and stuff at the mall, and it was a fountain lamp where it was like a beer bottle that would light up, and then it just had like a plastic tube, kind of bent acrylic tube coming out of it downward into like a basin,
Okay.
and then it would just cycle the water, you know what I mean? Like up part of the tube out to the back of the bottle, so it would like look like it's flowing out. Then it would light up the stream like yellow or whatever, so it looked like it was constantly pouring beer.
That's so cool.
In that particular case, though, it's using the flow and the gravity and just the tendency of water to want to stick to itself, to use the acrylic as a medium to maintain some form of laminosity. But what's interesting is that you're more likely to always have some more type of laminar flow along like a smooth surface as it rides the outside of the surface, and then that friction that's caused as it rides along that surface creates flow differential between that and the outer layers of that flow. So that torsion that occurs actually induces turbulence on the outside. So you could literally have a flow pattern that at the point of contact with the solid, of another medium, it's totally laminar. But by the time you get to the outside surface, it's so disturbed from that torsion that occurs the difference of the flow rate, that it turns into like something that looks like it's dripping and pouring.
Right
Yeah.
on. Well, let's pull up a video, Joe. This right here, and get it, is where they show it.
Yeah. Now, I've heard that it's hard to capture sometimes because of the flow rate and the frame rate have to be sort of like in sync. You know, and if they're out of sync, then you start getting some weird patterns that occur, even though it's laminar to the eye.
Okay.
But yeah, there it is.
He had to do a lot of stuff to this to get it to work like that. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, it's geometry and pressure that has to. Yeah, good old Nate from the internet, man. I remember him when he was on the King of Random. You know.
Well, take a look at that. They have all those straws in there to keep it straight so that it flows right. And then he's got those Scotch-Brite pads in there to filter it. And then he also used what looked like a screen from a window in there, 2 different layers of it. And then he put aluminum at the end in order to guide the nozzle, in order to get that perfect flow. And anything that was wrong with that opening that wasn't sanded clean would make all kinds of messes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Any sort of deformation is going to throw it off. You know, it's a pretty tight tolerance. The Scotch-Brite pads in there or filters or whatever it is, that makes total sense, you know, because anytime you're talking about an open vessel and then putting it under pressure, you know, that in itself is going to create turbulent patterns. By restricting it down to into a directional state, and then directing that pressure through a much smaller area, you're going to have a lot less turbulent interactions that are going to occur. You know, when it exits, you know, the device that he made. So that makes total sense to me, and that's actually a similar circumstance to what they have in the thunderstorm generator bubbler. You know, they use what do you call it? Steel wool, right? And they use fish tank bubblers or whatever, you know, bubble stones, right? The whole key point of that is to, you know, give less opportunity, you know, for the bubbles in that particular case to come together and then start growing and becoming bigger. They want to keep them small and directional, you know, and that's how they maintain that too. So,
yeah, that's just cool. You see how thick that is, and it's nice and clean.
Oh yeah, looks like it looks like a rod,
like a mirror finish.
Yeah, water, man.
That's so cool. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up a few more videos, Joe, while we're talking.
Yeah, let's do it up. That's what we're here for.
Might as well.
What
I was kind of hoping there'd be some gas ones in there, but I don't see a whole lot of those. So we'll go with this. Oh, here we go. We got smoke.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all over the place until he sucks it into that little hairdryer looking thing.
Right. So, you know, how they're affecting this is you got to remember that air and just atmosphere in general is turbulent by nature because of everything that's within it playing a role in the airflow patterns and so on and so forth. So things are less inclined to maintain total stability in a laminar state in atmosphere. But as soon as you create, you know, in this case, like a pressure differential where you have a negative pressure source, you know, pulling, that actually accelerates the flow of the smoke, right? And then is able to keep it in that pressure differential. And because it's a smaller area, it's able to enter into a more laminar and stable state. So again, it comes right back down to the pressure differentials in that case, and the concentration of it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought the fire one I sent you was a pretty awesome example of it too. I should have taken more than just 3 seconds of video, but you know, live and learn.
Okay, give me a second. This thing just popped up everywhere. Let's go to this one. I want to show this.
Yeah, while you're doing that, shout out to chat, Time Energy, Limited State, Dennis. We have Lulu, Jonathan. Happy Friday, guys.
Come on, Lulu. Yeah, hello, everyone. Check it out. So, Joe, we were talking about toroid earlier, and this is the flow that I constantly see in it. You see how it whips back around into it? And this is using water and electricity.
Mm-hmm. Well, that looks like a magnetic field pattern, a toroidal magnetic field. See how it's pulling up and away?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. What's weird is I was going to say I don't see them falling back down, but there they are falling back down.
Yeah, there you go. It's
That is rad.
Layers of fields. Yeah, so let me pause it right there just a little bit. Because when I describe the flow pattern, this is what I have in my head. That's
right. Well, it's all there. You can see that it's starting out all the way at the top of the coil in a laminar state. It maintains that to a certain degree as it passes, but then it starts to pull out into turbulence, and then it gets the turbulent flow of the torus, and the turbulence is a diffuse state, which is why the further you go away from the laminar state of it, it becomes more spread apart.
Yeah,
that looks like an awesome experiment. I don't know how he rigged that up, but that's really, really cool.
Well, I think it's a magnetic field, but he has to charge the water. So
ionized water.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how it does it. I would love to do it myself, but I don't understand it as well as I should. I think it's a magnetic field in the rod that's coming out. The water itself has to have a charge on it, and I don't know if it's static or what. So, I mean, we can run some things through it, I guess. What's cool is, do you see the cross pattern that it's creating? It's always in a mesh. It's always one pattern, then a second pattern over it. You know what I mean? And it just builds out that way. So when we talk time dilation field, this is what I'm seeing in my head right here. When I say this mesh, that's what I'm seeing, is that the counter fields, you know what I mean, in the more rounded field like this. So, and this is Victor Schauberger, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, this guy knew what he was doing. His son didn't know anything of what he was doing when he did the documentary, but thankfully they showed this. And from what they said, it had no current. So they couldn't find a use for it, you know what I mean, as far as electricity, because they didn't have any current in it, but it was very high voltages. So
I'm pretty sure that you could ionize water with ozone. I think, and they used to actually have these things, and because ionized water is an interesting thing, right? They used to even have like these rinse kits for your car where it would ionize your regular hose water and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And its properties are just so different that it would sheet off all the mineralized, dirty water from your car and then just leave it with like a flat finish where it would dry itself with no spots or anything like that. I think some car washes use it, so I don't know how they do it, but
this is it raises the pH, which structured water would do, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and right, limited state ionize it with UV as well, right? And that's exactly the whole thing that the thunderstorm generator uses too, is UVB.
So do you think that's what you'd have to do to this experiment in order to get the water like this, so it's in a prepared state in order for it to flow like that in a magnetic field?
I mean, that those coils don't look all that complicated to be putting out such a massive magnetic field that, water would be, it's just so inclined to do that in unto itself, right? So I
Hold on.
probably
Let,
ionizing the water would, be the case.
let's go back to 8th Center and what he said about the organite. It's the shape. The shape itself puts out the the double vortex, one on top, one on bottom, which this looks like it's following a vortex, even though you can't physically see it here. The pattern of the coils themselves look like it's putting off the correct pattern, and it looks like each layer of the coil is putting off one layer of the roundness in it, right?
Right.
So every coil, one goes one way, one goes the other way, one goes one way. At least that's what it looks like to me. Is there?
Yeah, no, they're definitely
rotating.
counterwound, I believe. I mean, it's a little hard to tell from that pause, but yeah, actually, they kind of look wound in the same direction. But regardless, but it's a top and bottom equation. You got to remember that. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it from the top, it's one way, and if you look at it from the bottom, it's the other. So
yeah, it's just interesting to look at when you actually see the physical field in these things. Then you can visualize what's going on. So I'll play it one more time and move on to something else. But I wanted to show this because I always see this in my head every time we talk about the fields. This is what I'm seeing because this is what's shown. This is the only picture I've ever found of the fields, and you can see them.
Tell you what, you put a piece of tubed acrylic around that thing, and light it nicely, and that would make an awesome thing to sit on your desk. Like that's I think it'd be cool.
Dude, this is just cool in itself because if this can tell you field dynamics, you know what I mean, and how it works, then it's pretty easy to figure out after that.
Well, right. So this is what I've been trying to say is that that laminar flow and turbulence is field dynamic. It's hydrodynamics, which is follows all the same stuff. That's one of the coolest experiments I think that you've shown on this show, man. Like, I mean, that's so rad. Look at that. Things are bugging out. That's pure toroidal motion, man.
Oh yeah.
And think about how much you could get off of that. Like you could get so much data off of that just by clocking the pattern, the time, and everything like that. You get so much data out of an experiment like that. If you did it for more than just shits and looking at something cool,
Yeah, I turned that off. I honestly think, man, that's one of the best things ever. Like, because we all want to see what the field looks like, and it's all invisible to everybody, but it kind of gives you a direction of where it's actually going. So that was it. I love the counters in it, and I love the flow through the center of it. You know what I mean? And then how it splits out like this on the bottom, and then it pulls, but it doesn't pull all of it. You know what I mean? It only pulls a certain amount. The rest stays going that way. So I don't know. This reminds me of when they talking about the magnetosphere on the Earth and how it's supposed to look and build out around it and how scientists say it. Well, it kind of confirms what they're saying of, the dimensionality of it.
Yep. No, that's neat stuff. I always say there's so much that you could learn just by sitting next to a stream, creek, a river, whatever have you. You just sit, you move around every so often from spot to spot and just see what everything's doing. And, you're going to see some weird stuff that at a glance you would have never seen. And it's like, wow, that's incredible. That seems to defy physics, and it doesn't. It's just all redirection. But it's like I said a couple of times already, there was instances that I've observed, where I've seen over unity, so to speak, in a river system, where you have this feed of water in laminar flow that's slipping underneath itself, but then, and rather than going into a turbulent flow, it's redirected laminarly to slide back on top of itself. And it's in this process that it is actually putting more energy in a backflow than it is on the flow that's creating the backflow. And what that results in is a segment of flowing water that runs opposite direction. And there could be a lot of variables for that. And I've really only observed that once or twice in my life, because everything's got to be right. The flow's got to be right. The geometry's got to be right. Everything's got to be right for that to happen. But it's incredible to see this stream, it's 30 feet wide or whatever, and it's got like this white water all over it. And then you see this one section where if I were to throw a leaf on it, it would go the opposite direction for 18 inches or something, And it's cool because it rides back up on itself.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, because it's like flipping underneath and then riding back up.
Well, see, that's what I was asking about the whole Schauberger thing when it comes to the river and the banking, because it's like the same thing. It's turning in on itself, where it's giving it more energy at certain points in order to flow back because of the turbulence. And then when it smooths out, there's less energy being used. So that's kind of what I was asking earlier. We had a question over here. When you play with the water like that, it's a similar situation. So if you put like a battery, a positive and negative into the battery, it structures the water. So it makes it go in a, how do I say this, like a vein, like a tight vein, and go flowing through everything. And it'll completely structure the water. If you put the stuff that I use, which is right down the center of the Tesla coil, it destructures the water. So all of that structuring that goes on that you just did with all that, positive from the battery completely goes away. It completely puts it into like a laminar flow situation where it's just going, all of it at once. And the other way it structures it and buries it and creates more of a turbulence in it. So, but the inside of that turbulence flows just like a laminar flow would. It right on through it. So I guess
that makes sense too, because you would have anytime again you have a laminar flow that's occurring and it's in intramedium, so it's all the same medium surrounding it, right? You could have a directional flow that's smooth and then have it be diffused off. The key to that is a high enough of a pressure differential to keep it contained, right? So it's the same as why there's a tube in the middle of that first one that we looked at, right? But when you're intramedium, you don't need the tube. You just need to maintain the pressure differential or the flow differential in order to have it become a more stabilized flow pattern.
The ionization, it just said a Tesla thing on that where he was making ionized air and he was saying how to do it. He was doing a patent on it. It's fresh in my head, and that's kind of, would not be that hard. So if we took, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this, but if I'm not mistaken, John Hutchinson ionized the air with a bottle, and you would see in the inside, it would be like a structure on the inside, plasma in there, but the outside of it would be more like a static. So it'd be ionizing the air in the entire room. So I'm just wondering if that same type of thing could be done if you put it in the water, and then the water's put through the jet nozzle, and then you had a slight magnetic field around those things. Would it do the same pattern now?
All right, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud.
Go ahead.
Laminar flow is scalar.
You think so? So explain it.
It's scalar. It's directional, propagated one way. Could be dispersed in all sorts of directions. But the whole point is that it's It's scalar in its nature, and in its flow pattern. Mind you, when we discuss what scalar is, and how it emanates out from a central point, in directionally and in a straight way, and it's generally non-diffuse as long as it's stable. It's only when you don't have enough to run run it and maintain it intermedium that it starts to fall apart into turbulence. Okay. So that's why it could, if you take a laminar flow and you put it intramedium in turbulence, it can maintain that laminosity, without the disturbance of the turbulence from the outside because of the pressure differentials, directional propagation. Then that laminar flow interacts with the turbulence. And if the turbulence are all over the place, right, like static, let's just say, right, it'll actually, on the outward side of it, redirect it into a counter-rotational flow pattern, like a vortex, because of the torsion that occurs due to the pressure differentials flow rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in Steinmetz, which one is it, the dielectric or the magnetic? So we're looking at the both flows here, right? Mm-hmm. The dielectric goes straight out, just like you said. That's the way he draws it, right? You take the center is around, and it goes straight out. Every last one of them straight out. Little dotted lines, the way he draws it, and then he draws the magnetic as circular. Now, I always thought the scalar was the magnetic, and it went out in that fashion. You're saying the laminar flow, which is the straight flow, and if it's circular, it'd go everywhere, then it would be the dielectric.
Yeah.
So that's what you're thinking it is?
That is what I'm saying, yeah.
That's interesting.
The way I'm putting it is that it's directional scalar propagation. Directional scalar propagation. So it's not it's not 360 degrees like omnidirectional, in or out, but it's directional based on its geometry. Basically a laser, which somebody said that before. Well, kind of like a laser. Well, yeah, I mean, lasers are somewhat laminar because of their coherence, right? So that coherence is, is laminar in its nature. Whereas you have white light. White light is turbulent because of its, multi-frequency nature.
It's just an interesting can of worms to open. You know what I mean? Because we're all trying to figure out the scalar, and I'm thinking one way, and you're thinking another way. But when you build it out, it kind of makes sense both ways. If that makes any sense, that it's building the field in rings, right? Mm-hmm. If you just have a water bottle here, right? It's going to build out from that ring, but it's going to build straight out from those rings in a 360 degree. So at each ring, it's going to be a different frequency along with a different amount of energy, right?
Perfect. Show that, say what you're saying. Now show that first picture that you showed. The one where it was like a black tube that was putting it out.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So give me a second. We'll get to it. Right there.
Yeah. So now that's all the way around that thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at the dispersal pattern, okay, the dispersal pattern of it is 360 degrees. And what keeps this in a laminar flow state is that it is all entirely outward propagation, 360 degrees around. If one of the points of propagation, okay, are off, and therefore putting that jet of water or segment of water in a slightly off direction, it collapses into turbulence and then is no longer laminar. So this is therefore scalar. The reason that you're getting the whole, falling bubble effect here is because of gravity. Because, because you have intermedium gravitational forces at work here, we know, right, that the electromagnetic properties of electrical components, right, they're not really subject to that. So they're able to naturally, either directionally propagate out further outward before falling off, okay, or, they fall off into a torus if that's going to be the desired flow pattern. And the spiralitic flow patterns are magnetic in ideology, like we discussed last time.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we see this. This is would be the ideal form of what we saw with Schellberger, right? We saw the fields and stuff. This would be the ideal form of an outside field we'd like to have. So, which is ironically just like a bubble when you blow it. It literally, I don't know how to describe this. When you see the bubble when you blow it, right? Because my granddaughter's over all the time, so she blows these little bubbles out of this little lawnmower. And I keep seeing it. So you get this round bubble. But then it has a field on the outside. It's completely smooth, right? Just like you're showing in the laminar flow, right? But then when light hits it, this thing is like, has every color in the rainbow inside of it. You know what I mean? Just in that little thin layer that goes around the whole thing, it just lights up, violet everything in there. So I'll try to pull a picture of it, but yeah, it's a very interesting proposition, kind of where you're going with it.
So imagine one more thing, right? With that same exact thing that you just showed before, but we'll change the scenario in our minds a little bit, okay? Rather than the top part of it that's dispersing the water 360 degrees, right? Rather than that just fall off into air, okay, suppose for a moment that the bottom of it was coming through water, okay, and that the top of it where it was going to pour off, all right, was almost flush with the water, ever so slightly elevated above the water at like whatever like the meniscal height of the surface tension of the water would be. Okay. What you would see is that the surface tension of the water combined with the flow rate differential, okay, supposing that the water it's in is still, okay, all right, the flow rate differential would actually keep a separation of the water that's flowing off from the water that's flowing off to the water that it's flowing onto. It would actually maintain separation, a barrier, okay, over that and spread out 360 degrees. Suppose that for a second. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's what I think. I'm a dumb fuck, so I could be very wrong, but like I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Well, take a look. These are the bubbles, Joe, that I was saying.
Yeah.
You see all the color in there.
Yeah, man.
You see it's perfectly round and it's perfectly smooth. And it just looks like it has that same flow in it.
Well, usually in bubbles, you see turbulent flows that are actually maintained, which is why they swirl around. But that makes sense because it's a sphere. In order for that to maintain that sphere, it has to have that particular flow. It would be interesting to see a laminar bubble, but I'll tell you what, out of a laminar bubble, you're not going to get the rainbow effect because the rainbow effect is refraction of light due to the turbulence.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a turbulent flow, not a laminar flow.
That's
on the
turbulent flow, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because it looks so clean, so it's easy to confuse.
Oh yeah, right. Well, it looks so clean because it's the nature of the bubble is that it's maintained by the surfactant differential that's created with the pressure differential inside. It's able to maintain that pressure differential, which allows it to exist. But yeah, it's definitely
Okay, so I got one for you then.
Yeah,
Hold
I'd
on.
love to see a laminar bubble. That'd be interesting. It'd be one color, I think. Okay, yeah, so that's laminar.
So watch as it goes, though. It gets better.
Mm-hmm.
So is that turbulent?
No. It's turbulent when it breaks apart. But this is following the same exact principles that I was talking about before, about where liquids tend to be more laminar in nature, when they're in contact with a smooth solid, and now you're adding a rotational force, that's actually able to lift the water out of the water and maintain, that the surface laminicity that it had on the sphere.
Sorry, I'll play that one more time. That was so awesome. I'm just interested because there's a lot of different examples of both. You know what I mean?
I love that. I mean, that's just super cool.
Yeah. Lulu says it's a force field. Yeah, it looks like one. That's always coming to what we imagine, right? I guess, what is it? Star Trek and their warp field or whatever they want to call it, little field bubble shields.
Yeah, well, this is like kind of like going into a clean room sort of deal, right? Like you get blasted with the jet of air. That jet of air feels like a solid, unbroken, piece. But what's interesting, what I actually saw in another video, and I never contemplated this, but it makes total sense, is that those are actually turbulent. Okay, so the stream itself is laminar, but because they're high velocity, when it hits you, it becomes turbulent and it blows all the crud that's all on you when you go into a clean room all over the place. Okay. What they do instead now is they have very low flow laminar, like streams of air that'll come down and actually just kind of like fall at you at a rate that it doesn't become turbulent, and it'll actually take everything off of you. It's very interesting, but that just goes to show how velocity has a lot to do with it.
Sorry, I had to show that. I was looking through these things. Some of these forces, man, you kind of got to watch them all. Let's see what else. Sending me in the wrong zone.
What do you need a better explanation of, Martin? I'll do my best. I am,
Okay, hold on. I got a good one for you. I don't even know what that is, man. It said something about water.
Was that ultrasonic levitation? That's what it looked like to me. But no, that's ice. That's ice. I've seen this before. I don't remember what they were doing.
Rotating sphere of water in microgravity.
Oh. Yeah, okay. I have seen this before, and that is what it is. They just drop stuff into it to show you what's happening. I'd be curious to know if the stuff in the center is the stuff that they dropped in, just so you could see where the center is, or if that's maybe trapped air that's just being, contained within it. Because, yeah. But I have seen this before.
That's so cool looking. Why don't they explain how they made the microgravity? That'd be even better.
Then you wouldn't have a channel, Nathan.
Well, I
We'd
guess.
have to talk politics and dirty jokes.
I might, to be honest with you, I might be bitter at both.
Ain't the truth a motherfucker.
Oh man. Yeah, that was a great video.
So I saw a very similar video one time, same exact thing, right? But the guy was actually sitting there with a syringe and he was putting stuff into the drop as it happened, and then you could actually see everything that was kind of going on dimensionally within the glass the water drop. So I don't know where that video was. It didn't even come to mind when we brought up the subject, or else I would have thought about that. But no, that was a good reference.
All right, so let's check this out. They really got some trippy stuff, man. I didn't even know this is on the internet. Hold on. So now you're going to see a little ball come into the screen. I don't know what it is. It goes right around the stick.
All right, well, let's see.
Well, I hit play. There it is. That's a trip.
I can't even pretend I know what's going on.
I have no clue. The time is sound? That's interesting. Dude, it's just awesome to look at.
Yeah, it is. I just don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, wait, now there's two. Wait, there's a third one. Is it going to disappear? Is it going to disappear?
Oh no. You got 3 orbs going.
That's it. Couple more. No, they ain't got the pattern, bro. They ain't got the pattern to make it blip.
No.
Whatever it is, it's cool, though. I don't know what I'm looking at.
I don't know. It sure likes the vortex around your rod, though.
Yeah. Right? It doesn't know what it's like. Hey, wait. Okay, nope.
Well, there's a bunch of them. Hold on. You get there?
Yeah. That's super cool, man. I have no idea who did this or what's going on, but yeah, cool. He made little water drops fucking orbit a nail.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the internet, man. Oh, I'll see if I can't pull another one. Let's see, what does it say? In 0G, static electricity walks on water. So hold on.
All right. Now there's a little context to it.
I guess I should have said that first. Yeah, because he's got a lot of balls that he keeps dropping on there.
Yeah. Didn't have to go find that nail in Diego Garcia.
Oh, man. Yeah, they don't like to orbit like those orbs do to that plane, do they?
No. That's because they probably lack the charge. Something's charged because they said there was static involved.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that there's, if they ionize those drops, I bet you that you would probably have a very, very similar outcome. I don't know, man. Makes me want to go to space. How much did Katy Perry have to pay to go to space?
Oh, God.
I don't even know who those other broads were.
Kind of makes you wonder if we don't retrieve people from space, is it a bad thing? I mean, because that crew could have stayed and I wouldn't have known the difference.
Hey, yeah. Well, we'll have to start a GoFundMe, bro. That's what we got to do.
Let's just shoot them off in big
Send the old man
rockets.
and the dope to space.
Oh man, we got to color that thing a skin color though.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh.
Oh,
So think about how far we've come. Think about like in all seriousness. I don't. And by the way, I don't care whether they went or not or this or that. But the idea that we shot just regular old people into space for like giggles at this point because you got a couple of bucks. Like, yo, when I was a kid, I used to watch Nickelodeon and stuff, and I was
uh-huh.
always like, yo, they're gonna send them to space camp. That looks so cool. Like, yo, you ever know one person that went to damn space camp? Like, I grew up in a
No.
rich ass town that nobody went to space camp in, but I always wanted to go, man.
Oh
Now that I'm an
man.
adult, send me to space camp.
Yeah, no kidding.
They'd be like, "Excuse me, Mr. Dope, but you're too fat to go to space." I mean, like, I don't like my cheeseburgers, man.
I don't know, man. Some of the women, they look like they were pushing a few.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
know what I
no,
mean.
they're fine.
They had,
They just didn't. They talked about the part where they were weightless. They didn't talk about the time that when they were shot up, that they weighed 1,500 pounds for.
oh yeah. What happened to that? That would have been interesting.
Right.
Yeah, where their
Right.
face sucks back and stuff. Yeah. They get a facial on the way up. You know what I mean? Or not a facial, but a little tuck.
You know, that's terrible. See, if I was on the other side of the radio, I'd be like, just so you know, you weigh 1,500 pounds. You know what that would do to them.
Oh my god. That's
Yeah,
so
crazy.
funny.
Yeah,
That
100
whole thing.
100 G's the pressure. Yeah.
Can you imagine if it really was fake? I mean, it make the moon landing sad compared to that. That's you paid how many millions to go up in a fake rocket that looks like a wiener? I mean,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
I mean, that is the thing about modern photography. And then you look at it with AI, it becomes very, very hard to tell because it's like you have drones that have tracking, like tracking cameras so they can keep something perfectly in focus, perfectly locked on, and move and change angle, right? So it gives you these dramatic, camera shots, and then the cameras are 8K, high frame rate, HDR, the whole 9 yards, and you know what I mean? Like the camera technology is so crazy, it looks too good to even be real because it just does. But then it's like, what is it? And then because the AI does the same exact thing, it pulls off of all these cinematic, dramatic shots.
Well, see, look, I kind of think that the way everybody else thinks about it, why are you playing with dolls up there when you're literally in space? Like, wouldn't you be looking at the Earth? You know what I mean? Maybe making some flat earther jokes, maybe staring at the moon, seeing what the sun looks like out there. I mean, where's their shielding on one side of that from the sun? Do they go on the opposite side of the Earth? What happened there? You know what I mean? They were in perfect light the whole time. There was no shadowing, nothing. So
I'm, like there's like a 50-50 part of me on this. It's sort of like, if I was shot up there, what would I want to do in that 3 minutes of weightlessness that I have? All right. And knowing me, I'd probably want to do something dumb, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't take time to suck it in. Then there's like the bitter part of me that, that's just like, it's no offense toward women because not all women are like this, but like, they're just a bunch of dumb broads, like they're a bunch of like dumb rich broads that are like, they're like,
we know better than that, Joe. You'll be up there comparing moons.
You just sit there vape in space, you know what I mean? And be like, what's the flow pattern on this now? What are we doing? What's good?
Oh, man.
I don't think this thing wouldn't be coming with me.
Oh.
It'd be coming with me. They'd be like, the battery's not going to handle it. I'd be like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, they did no experiments out there. They did kind of dull move in less gravity. Yes, they can. That's what they did. That's what they answered for us.
What happens to a fart in space? Because I heard you fart a lot in space. Does it stay like the water drop where it's like a bubble and it like hits you but then leave? You know what I mean?
You're in a pressurized environment, man. Everybody's getting that right away. It's instantly in the next person's nostrils. We're all barfing in space because Joe's farting. While showing the moon who's boss. Oh.
Yeah, that was a little confused. So they're in a pressurized cabin the whole time because they didn't have any oxygen supply or anything like that. Yeah, that whole entire thing's interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, it just makes it funnier to say that they didn't go. Like, they probably did, but it's so much funnier to say that they didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that they can't call them astronauts, they have to call them passengers, and they go on a ride, and you have to associate going on a ride with that big penis thing.
Well, right. They're not astronauts because they were not part of a crew. That's the thing. They were literal tourists. You know, it is what it is, you know.
Hey, look, I'd be a tourist too.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know that I'd walk around calling myself an astronaut afterwards.
No.
Like they gave the guys that flew the SR-71s, they gave them astronaut status once they hit the space line,
really?
You know. But they were flying a frigging aircraft, and honestly, you want to talk about impressive? To me, it's impressive to take off from the Earth under your own power, steer something around, get up there, and then be like, okay, now I'm coming back, and there's no parachute or anything involved. You know, like that to me is impressive.
Oh yeah, said the diets wouldn't let you have farts in that situation. I don't agree with that, dude. Some of these people who just eat vegetables for a living, or for their life,
For a living, right?
They have the worst gas, man. They literally will take you out of that room quick.
Yeah, so, especially if they're trying to protein supplement with beans and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, eating like all that sort of crap, man. It gives you bad bloat too, which is crazy.
Yeah, why would you want that?
I don't know.
Yeah, 1.5 million is what they paid. Can you imagine that?
Nope. So we're 300 million, $3 million away, Nathan.
Yeah,
we're $3 million away.
Start the donations now.
Yeah.
I have a Patreon if you want to send me to space so that Joe and I can fart in the capsule and with the
all right, folks, send us to space.
Dude, it's like that Family Guy episode where he put that helmet on, okay? And then he farted into it. Stewie did, I think. And then the guy started barfing his brains out. That was hilarious, bro.
Oh, yeah, that's gross, bro.
Oh.
Okay, listen. You have a little more than 7,500 subscribers. Call it 7,500. If every single subscriber just donates $400, me and Nathan are going.
You're going to space.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Can you imagine astronaut training? Oh, man. I'd have to run and everything.
You think they went to astronaut training?
No. Tourist training?
Like, it was 10 minutes long. They didn't go to nothing, bro. They're like, all right, put this on.
It's not.
All right, go in. It's like, just... They're like, all right, strap yourself in. Then they go around, they give it the tug. You know, like on a roller coaster, they give it the tug. You know, they check the crotch strap. You know, think about that job for a second, man. That's a bittersweet job, isn't it?
It's a terrible job.
Yeah. And they really hit the jackpot with the shape of that thing. Like they really did.
That's so bad.
They couldn't make that like a rocket is phallic to begin with. You had to put a head on it. You know, but we'll just strap a huge ball bag to it.
Well, they did in that Superman movie. That's about what they made, man. When they shot him into the Phantom Zone. And they were in they were dildos. That's what they were. They were in dildos. And they went.
Dr. Evil.
Oh, oh,
Man. Benny Johnson is always super on point, man. I love watching Benny, but he he had the same exact discussion that we're having right now. He felt exactly how I felt about it, and he just always takes it to the next level. Then this week, there was they clipped that Benny caught on to this, and I thought this was great of him. He caught on to what Trump said about our military technology.
oh
Where
yeah.
right, and then he connected the dots because there was just a tech conference release from the White House, press or whatever, and in that summit, we have the representative from the White House tech department saying that we can manipulate time and space, and that we could, render distance annihilated. Like, think about that for a second. That says that we have the technology to do those things right now, which is not surprising, but hearing it is, even for me, who knows, that they definitely do. Hearing it is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. Shout out to Ashton Ford, by the way.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And big shout out to Ashton on that, man. I'm sure he's going to pick up so many subs from that, man, because...
Oh, dude, they quoted him. Benny quoted him right on.
Quoted him, showed him, gave him props for it, and he deserves it, man. He's been all over that Image 370 thing for a long time.
Absolutely.
And I think that's sort of the prime example. If you're going to show the tech, where's the other videos of the tech? That's the video of the tech. But wait until Iran finds out that we're just going to teleport their nukes into the middle of the ocean. They're going to go there one day and be like, where did they go? You know what I mean? It's like,
why are these balls swirling over my capital?
Yeah. It's like you got to move the B2s into position, so they think like, okay, you know what? Maybe we have to give them up because we're in for trouble, right? But then at the end of the day, it's just like they're just going to be like quantumly stolen and discarded. It's like, okay, mission accomplished. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. I got another video for you, Joe.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
This is frame rate and stuff on your camera.
I was just about to say that's frame rate. So if you change the frame rate, the flow pattern is going to look different. Yep, there she goes.
It feels that way sometimes in the morning.
What, like it's going back in?
Yeah. Like something's wrong. It's not flowing the right way.
Well, listen, if you push too hard, then it starts to spray. Oh, you gave me fucking shit. Stop.
No,
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, now you're just showing off.
You've got to test the salt. Holy shit. All right, yeah, that's neat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It looks like it's standing still.
Oh, look. Small hole. You must know Mike. Different balloons.
Mike has 3 holes from Canada.
Right, 3 holes. The small hole.
I drink it.
It's like you can't help it, I guess.
I can help it. The color gave away no drinking.
Yeah. It's like I said, Nate from the internet, man, he was good people.
That's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
mesmerizing. That just looks like it's standing still.
Yeah. Says no camera trick. Oh, the good old blue tape.
Yeah, well, he's inducing frequency into it through that speaker.
That's so cool. So the naked eye, it doesn't look like that at all, huh?
You got to be able to catch it at the right frame rate.
Do you see the paint on that guy's face?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Look at that. It's like
It's
a
a match.
wrestler's face.
Oh yeah, something.
Still, these guys didn't pay attention in high school. Yeah. Are you kidding me? I was building this stuff in high school. This is the kind of stuff I did pay attention to.
Mm.
Like in chemistry class, when they go, you know what I mean? We're gonna shove all these little what are those little Mentos into the soda pop. I'm like, volunteer right here. I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? Or what was the other one? Baking soda and some kind of acid. And then you put them together and get the same reaction making rockets. I'm like, okay, volunteered for that one. You know what I mean? Anything that was cool, even the one where they shock you and they take the generator and they go, oh, here, hold these wires. And then gullible old man, yeah, let me hold. Oh, yeah, I got it. Oh, try to get away. Ooh. Yeah, did that one too.
Michael says he's huffing paint, isn't he? He explains everything. Listen, starting fluid, bro.
Vinegar and baking
No, that's
soda.
terrible. Don't do that. Don't ask me how I know.
Didn't do the huff and paint thing or the glue thing. That wasn't
No.
me. No, I didn't travel that way. Oh my God. Okay, there's one in there. I won't say it because it gives somebody some ideas, but that sounds interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so I can tell you about the one time that I inhaled ether.
Well, hold on. The ether, like when they give you in the balloon?
Well, more,
At the
more like
party?
the kind you spray onto a rag. Out of a can of
Oh.
starting fluid. Did that
Sorry.
one time.
Different things, I guess.
I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Diethyl ether. It brings you right. There's a reason it's called ether, man. It brings you right into it. Like I was very young. I like
Oh,
the way it
man.
smelled.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, I can remember the exact party it was where I was standing and exactly the balloon color was blue. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're talking about nitrous oxide, man.
Some of those things, man, stick with you.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Ether is like nitrous oxide times 200. Like, yeah. It's black and like all these little splitting fractal things, and I thought I was part of it because I thought I was part of it because evidently I found out later on that we are. You know, but you know, like it's just crazy shit, man. I don't know.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
I did it
Yes,
one
yeah.
time. That was enough.
Oh, well, it says right here, a guy blew his oil pan right off his truck. Timing trying to get POS started just using ether. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, that had happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that stuff doesn't choke around, man. That's like flammable to the next.
Oh yeah, yeah. You start your engine with it. You know what I mean? Put a little tiny bit of it in your carburetor. You start it up. Don't
Take a
put too
whiff of-
much though.
Take a whiff of that stuff. Take a drag of a cigarette.
No, thank you.
Spontaneous human combustion.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do that at all.
Yeah. Well, now you know why I am the way I am.
Oh man.
Cat's out of the bag. It's the only thing I ever done. And once was enough.
Oh, it's so terrible.
30 seconds. Yeah, man. Well, even with a cast iron block, that's not going to hold that kind of compression. There's no way.
Okay, hold on. I got another one for you. I used to actually, believe it or not, Joe, I used to have a bunch of Chevys. So I've probably owned over 30 of them, classic cars. And I used to rebuild the engines and stuff on them. You know what I mean? Take out the engines, clean up all the firewalls, put them back in, paint the thing. I painted 3 Novas. I painted my Camaro. I all 1970 split bumper, the extended front part on the split bumper there. Beautiful cars, man. Big mags in the back. You know what I mean? You got 10-inch wide in there because the body is so big on the back. And in the front, you just get normal 8s. And people that goes down to like little wiener tires, I hate those. I absolutely hate them. Yeah, I just sold my 72 Nova. I had a nice, gorgeous 72 Nova.
Nice.
But I just sold that not that long ago. So, but I love classic cars, man. Love building them.
Me too. I've had my fair share. Not my first car when I was 16 was a 71 Charger SE with a 383 in it, and it needed like some work, you know. So me and my dad kind of working on it together, whatnot. And just after rebuilt the car, got everything running nice, you know, it played with the transmission, got that fucking finally going. I went, backed it out of the driveway, and you know, the leaf springs in it were so rotted out that it was slammed the rear, busted everything up, had some body rot, like a little tiny bit and whatnot. It was all kind of repairable. But after that, me and my dad looked at each other, we're like, that's it, man. This car's done. You know, and this was back when those cars weren't super expensive. So you know,
I remember the days you go to the junkyard pulling out transmissions, rear ends. You know what I mean? Everything you wanted.
Yeah. That car was cool, man. Had like nice hideaways and stuff. Like interior on it was like super legit. I wish they still made interiors like that, you know? Like the stitched vinyl and stuff, and you know, got that like plasticky fake wood look and whatnot because of the Dodge. You know, but it looked nice. It was good, yeah.
Yeah, I outgrew a Nova, man. And I was ready for a Chevelle. So that was the next thing on the list. I never got there because I gave my wife the money to hold, and there it went. Anyway.
Yeah, I've been a Mopar guy my entire life, but I've never had anything against General Motors vehicles. I've had tons and tons of them, too. In fact, I drive a Chevy now. So
nice. All right, let's play this one.
All right, let's go.
More laminar flow here. It starts off good. He's got one ball. Where's the other one? Yeah. Not quite. Doesn't like your balls, buddy. There it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so the key point of what he was doing there is he has to get it right at the point of turbulence. So right where it starts to split off to turbulence is where that pressure dispersion, you know, like is enough to maintain it. That's very cool, though.
Look at that. Yeah, it doesn't stop there. Sorry, guys, I didn't put volume on this. I don't want to get in that much trouble. He makes it glow. Look at that.
Yep. Don't carry the light and bend it right on with it.
Yeah. Well, you only get that when aliens pick you up. That's the next day.
Right. I mean, it's no different than a piece of fiber optics at that point.
Wow.
That's cool.
I think we were talking about different things there. That's just cool in itself. The light that comes out of there.
Yeah. These are neat little party tricks.
I'd say, oh, look, the color gets right down to the ground pretty good. Look at that.
So you run some radiant energy through it, man, and just have a light bulb lighting up in it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, if you're ever wondering what Alien P looks like, there you go. At least that's what I'd imagine it would look like. I don't know that I want to find that out.
I don't know. It just like if you had like a pool or something, I can imagine a few of these on the side of the pool being really cool.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool. Like the fountain in your front yard?
Yep.
We'll just build a big Tesla coil in the front yard and make the fountain have all this cool lighting stuff. That'd be awesome. People would freak out. They wouldn't know what to do. Why is my cell phone turning off? Why is it losing the battery charge? What the heck going on? What do you have in that fountain? Oh. Oh, man.
But what all this kind of reamounts to is dimensionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about these laminar flow patterns, and you talk about putting the water through a certain geometry, which is always a 2D geometry, all right, in order to create these effects. And we know that these 2D geometries scale up, right? So whenever we're talking about like coil flows and the geometry of the coils and whatnot, what's happening in the three dimensions actually happening in the fourth and fifth dimension up from a 3D geometric coil shape. And I think that that's sort of, you know, what becomes important there.
Mm. Gotcha.
And that's like, you know, the water examples become less apparent than like smoke or flame examples when it comes to upper dimensional, you know, flow patterns. But did you have that the fire one that I sent you? I know it's only 3 seconds long, but maybe just throw it on loop or something.
You'll have to give me a minute here.
Okay.
There's so much stuff here, Joe. I don't know.
I sent it to you today. It's okay.
Hold on. Let me go back down. There's a lot of conversation here. Was it a link or was it?
No, it was a video I
video.
took and sent to you.
No, it's video. Okay, yeah, I got it right here.
All right, cool. Yeah. So this is another layer of it, of laminar flow. Okay, because now right now there's two flames that are coming together, okay, from separate points of ignition. Okay. They start off in a laminar flow, okay? But what I found most interesting is that even though they're directly touching, they never mix, ever. You know, they maintain their own source and with a boundary in the middle, but they're connected and they remain symmetrical. So if you pause it at certain points, like you can actually see the symmetry side to side that occurs as the laminar flow from both of them collapse into a more, you know, into a more turbulent, you know, flow nature at the top. Yeah, you see how it's symmetrical.
Mm-hmm. We got another rocket here.
Something. So, yeah, it's just super interesting how they don't mix, but they're directly related and they act exactly the same, one side and the other.
By the way, guys, I gifted 5 memberships, so hopefully you guys get those, and they're awesome. So this one looks like a little fireman.
It does. There was even a screenshot that I showed that I specifically took because it looked like a human form to a degree. But yeah.
That's cool.
Now I'd be interested in knowing, you know, if I introduced a couple of more like ignition sources into it, you know, what that would actually equate to. So that's going to be something that I try probably this week. But these are just incense sticks, so you know, I'm not trying to light 5 of them at a time. But if I can help it.
Nice. Okay, so sorry.
If you got one of the memberships, go ahead and drop an emoji in the chat. Let us know you're in.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, I'm looking for something. Give me 1 second. I wanted to pull this up if I could find it. Here we go. All right, here we go. Right here. So.
Well, is Gerald at work again? What's going on?
No, I wanted to shout out Limited State here.
Nice.
He told me to take a look at this right here, and I will kind of zoom in on it a little bit. It's the way the coil's wound. So when I wound mine, I took speaker wire and put it on its side. So instead of them being like this, they were like this. So the field would be in between the two instead of here where the field goes in this way. So he told me to look at the patent, so I pulled it up, and it's exactly what Tesla had said right here. Do it this way, not the other way. So I have to rebuild one of these. So hopefully I can get this done here pretty soon. But yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out to him because he told me to do it. And then on my podcast channel, I went ahead and I put the patent on there for everybody to understand why. And if you look in the comments, he has a very specific comment on this that tells you exactly what to look for in the patent. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll drop the thing right now for that show so you guys have it and share that channel. But again, thank you to Limited State for showing me that.
That's cool.
Never too old to learn, apparently.
No, that's for sure, man. It never ends. It never ends. And if it did, it's only because you became stubborn.
Yeah, dude. Look, let's just be honest with each other. I'm old, so the first thing that comes out of my mouth to even my kids is no. Like, I'm just gonna say no, and I'm gonna be frustrated for a day, and then I'll finally say yes, even if it's taking them down to see their friends. You know what I mean? That's just the way it works. Because you get kind of tired of everybody telling you what to do when you're older. Like, no, I'm just gonna do it my way. But no, I do have the ability to learn.
And here's the thing. As someone who's been on the other side of that situation, you know it all along too. Yeah, like I used to tell my in-laws all the time, be like, we're going here and there for, this night, whatever. Can you watch the kids? Be like, we've had them all week. No, you got to find someone else. We'd be like, oh, okay, thanks. And then we just make the plans anyway because we know we're going to get the phone call like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Just bring them over. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
We know you didn't really mean it, damn it.
Well, they know. They already know. You just so frustrated with things, man. Like, because they'll come in and ask you at the worst time possible.
Is there ever a good time?
No, but
anytime somebody interjects something, it's like, don't you see him in the middle of this? Like, even if it's nothing, like sometimes like the middle of this is like literally like, I'm in the process of doing nothing right now and you're disturbing this. That's not how I view things, man. I love helping people out. I try to jump at the opportunity, but it's still inherently true. Like, we're all human beings.
Oh man, I don't. It means I have to get in my truck and drive them somewhere, man. And getting in and out of that thing sucks sometimes. Like,
yeah, I have to get you one of them elevators.
Lately, man, it's been hard to do anything. Just getting over there. I say that, but then I got to drive them this weekend. And then my wife wrote me into holiday time with the family, so I have to do that. And it's like, God, I feel so like locked into a bubble. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, we could all give a day for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's
well, I'm
fair and
not
right,
saying that's
fair and
bad.
righteous cause.
It's a drive. It's
Mhm.
it's like 60 minutes in a vehicle. I'm just not so happy with that. And normally I sleep, but lately I had to drive. I had to be the one driving, and then never works out for me, man. These days I pass out if I drive for too long. So I drive in short distances, never anything longer than that. So it's just something calming about the road. It's like I'm a little toddler in the back. You know what I mean? I'm just passing out. My kid says, "Oh, we'll just give you a bib, Dad, and then they'll start feeding you with little slushy foods."
I'll tell you, man, that's real deal stuff though. That used to happen to me sometimes, It stopped though. So figure that one out.
But
But
dude,
it happened for like years, man. I'd just literally be like,
yeah. Well, I used to drive semis. And I used to drive all day, man, 16-hour days or whatever. But now, man, I don't like driving vehicles at all. And it's bad at night because my vision's starting to get worse. So now all the all the lights out there on the streets are just driving me nuts. Dude, I'm just flat out getting old. I don't like to do anything. I need like a rocking chair that doesn't suck. That's what I need.
yeah.
It says you do not give them an option, parents and in-laws. You knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and run to the car for a second, open the doors, and peel out. Simple. Yeah, you get the heck out of there. There you go, Lulu. You're right. Oh, man. Yeah, just some people after time, man, and I don't know what it is. So
I don't know. I never really liked eating other people's lamb anyway. Usually they screw it up and it sucks.
But dude, I'm the one that has to cook.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, but I always cook for every holiday. You know how I got tied into cooking for every holiday? Because everybody else is cooking sucked. Even when it didn't suck, it still sucked. Like,
well, my wife goes, "Oh, well, we're just gonna make steak." I go, "Well, why don't you just make chicken so anybody else can make it?" No, because they like your steak. And they go, "Well, I don't want to cook the steak. You know what I mean? Let's make a big roast or something. So it's pretty much prep it and we're done." Yep. Oh no, we can't do that. So, yeah, I like those kind of things, man. Do things that you could put in the oven. Like you take all your vegetables in there and you sprinkle some seasoning on the top, a little bit of olive oil, you kind of mix it together. You put it in the oven for about 30 minutes so they're still crunchy a little bit, but they're a little bit soft too. And then the flavor stays on them because you're not putting water on it. Where it takes the salt and dissolves it, it keeps it stay on there right on top. And it's just, really awesome. And then make some collard greens, man. You go in there and take some bacon grease in there. And you take your ham and then you kind of get it in there so you get that flavor in there where it's really intense. You get your greens all cut up, man, boil it and then stick it in there.
My favorite. Throw a little hot sauce in there too. Forgive me.
Yeah. Keep the bone in there though. Because that's like the most flavorful part. Man.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. Oh, trust me, man. Collard green is my favorite kind. Kind of green, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was eating. What was it? The little. I can't even think of them now. Not asparagus, but it's a little round balls. It sounds so bad.
I'll tell you what. Asparagus goes right along with our episode today because get that fucking stink piss stream going on.
Dude, that's so bad to smell. That's horrible.
Asparagus, so that's cool.
Oh, what was it? God, I'm trying to think. They're like little cabbage balls. I don't know what the heck they're called. Blowing my mind right now. Anyway, I was making those the other day, man, and you boil them in water, right? Just for a little bit in your pan. And you let all the steam come up, which, by the way, I was telling Joe a story earlier. When you get the steam come up, it goes up like this in a big vortex. Just coolest thing ever in case you do it.
You're talking about Brussels sprouts, man?
Yeah, there you go. Brussels sprouts. So
Like, it was what you said was so arbitrary that like I didn't even.
I'm going
know what
every.
you were talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, I'm
So I
going
was
every
like,
direction, brother.
what is this man talking about? I was like, yo, Brussels sprouts are awesome.
Dude. So anyway, so I boil them a little bit, right? And then you got to stop the cooking process. So you got to ice them. So then in the pan, man, straight up throw ice in there, over your sink. Let it chill. Get that thing to stop cooking. Clear out your pan. Just get a tiny bit of water left in there, man. Go back over to the stove. You put it on there, and then you put it in there, and then put some butter in and let it brown a little bit. You stir them in there. You just want just enough butter to stick that garlic salt on there, man. And then you want to kind of, and this sounds bad, but you just want to brown them a little bit, or man, I didn't say burn them a little bit. Not a lot, but just enough to give them a color, but not the nasty flavor. And then they're just perfect, man.
Yeah, right. That's the whole thing with them is you can't overcook them. What's Jonathan saying? He's saying he'll never say no to a good corned beef Reuben. Yeah, listen, man, I love corned beef. One thing I love more than corned beef is pastrami. You got to remember something, man. I'm from New York. I grew up like eating stuff, like for real,
Pastrami and
I
bacon.
started making my own pastrami because it's like, what I do is I cheat the system. And St. Patrick's Day, I'll go out, I'll buy all the frigging corned beefs, throw them in the freezer. And then every so often, I'll be like, you know what, I'll do a pastrami, season it up, let it sit, smoke it, do the whole nine, steam it to get it nice and that's where it's at, man. Doesn't get any better than that. You eat an entire pastrami for like $7 when you buy it on sale for, make yourself one of them big fat, like 2-pound cats of sandwiches.
The pastrami with bacon grease, when you're cooking it up, just get a little warm with that on there, and then a lot of mustard. And then you got to have like a thin roll. You can't have a real thick one on there. It's got to soak in the flavor of it. I love cooking, man, and eating.
Oh, man, me too. I'm telling you, it's what I've been doing since I'm a kid. I was going to quit my good 6-figure job with benefits to friggin' cook food for people, and would have made more doing it. But COVID, divorce, thanks. And now I'm a little stuck trying to figure that out. But yeah, made my own jerky, made my own sausage, made my own name it. Like, there's not a cuisine I don't cook. I love Moroccan food, man. Moroccan food's good. Anything from the Mediterranean. Dabble in the Asian countries. Do all the Thai, the Vietnamese. Make banh mi's, make pho.
Nice.
Pho, as they say, right? So
I like brisket, sauces, man.
Sandwiches, barbecue. Yeah. Italian.
Barbecue and brisket. See, that's what they need to ask me to do. You know what I mean? Doing a family holiday, you know what I mean? Go in the night before, get all the fire going, man. Get that brisket on, spend all night drinking and, you know what I mean, cooking. Then get a tag team partner that goes out there and gets the other, the finished part for the next couple hours while I sober up sleeping. And then I come out with the rest of the family and get it going, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what changed my game, and it's like a little sad to admit this because I'm a bit of a purist, but like for a long time I didn't have time to barbecue because of the time commitment, and I just had so much going on. So like I wasn't doing it no more. What ended up happening was I went out, I bought myself a Traeger, and then I rigged the Traeger up, I customized it and stuff. So like I could control a higher smoke amount than the Traeger puts out. And what I would do is I would basically just use the Traeger, and it got me barbecuing all the time because I could literally just set it, walk away from it, go do everything I have to do, check on it every so often on my phone, and then like come back to it. And then it's like pretty much 80 to 90% where I want it to be. I used to be able to like get sleep, put it on the night before and stuff. So, maybe set one or two alarms just to like go out and check on it real quick, whatever.
You got to make sure the temperature doesn't fall.
Yeah, well, I trust me, I've had that happen, man, where the pellets like go out and then you just come in and there's just tons of pellets in there and you're like, fuck. But as long as you know to clean out the pellets. Because if you don't clean out the pellets and you go to restart it, you're gonna burn the bitch down, man. Bad. Don't do that.
See, I don't have pellets. I have an offset.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I usually use when I have time to do these things. But
Hmm.
I don't even have one of those anymore. Though now I have a barrel,
I use
which I hate.
cherry. Dude, if you use cherry wood, it puts that smoke ring around there. It's just
Uh-huh.
beautiful. Oh,
You
it's
get
nice and red.
you get a nice smoke ring anytime you choke the oxygen out. So if you produce enough carbon monoxide, you'll get that nice smoke ring. You know, it's kind of the goal. Want that lots of clean blue smoke. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want that billowy shit, but you want like good amount of smoke.
Oh, making some sweet ribs, man, with that no salt in the butter. You know what I mean? When you wrap them after they
Yeah.
come in. Oh yeah,
I like North Carolina style barbecue, man. Like that's how I like mine. So good.
Mm.
You get that nice vinegar sauce and whatnot.
Oh,
Mm.
do
Anyway,
you eat the
so
wings that way
we're
with
gonna have to do
vinegar?
a summer special barbecue with old man and dope. That's it.
Yeah, they already said I can't do a barbecue show. I'm making too hungry already because I was talking about the food.
That's it.
Sorry, man. I haven't been able to eat a whole lot of any of that lately. So I always like to get the good greens when you can. So New York cider chili dogs with coleslaw? Really? That's a thing?
Doesn't sound bad to me. I mean, honestly, greasy. I mean, like, you know, got that spice and then you get the coleslaw to cut it. It's nice.
Mm.
It's always the trick, man. You gotta balance flavors, cut the fat. You know, you want it to be fatty because it's delicious, but you got to cut the fat somehow. Acids and creams.
Yeah, I was making, what was it, biryani about a week ago? Like an Indian dish? Man, there's so many spices that go in there. And it says you could use chicken legs. I usually use the chicken thigh and all boneless, skinless, and you throw it in there, man. And once all the different ingredients are in, it turns out to be like a reddish yellow color. Man, the smell that comes off there with the cinnamon and the little seeds in there.
Oh yeah,
man, that's so great. And then the part that gets me is the rice in the end. If your pan sucks, you're getting sticky rice. If your pan's good, it comes out, it's perfect. It's it's not overly wet. Yeah. A little bit of nutmeg in there and butter at the end, finish it off, give it a little bit of sweet.
that's where it's at, man. I love curries all day. Like I said, I cook it all, man. I do it too. I'm right there with you. Indian food, Thai food. You know, there's not a country I haven't tapped.
I cannot get for the life of me the brown rice. Not how do I say that? I don't know if it's brown rice. It's the Chinese rice when you go out to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't cook that for whatever reason. I always screw it up.
Come out tough or whatever.
Yeah. I just don't have the timing yet. I think that's what it is. If something goes in at the wrong time, I constantly stir things, and then that ruins it. Yeah.
It's funny. John says cow tongue is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, when I was growing up, that was my favorite sandwich of all time. Was
really
hung on rye, man. Like, I'll tell you what, as an adult, I like it a lot less than I did as a kid. But that it never lost a spot in my heart for that reason. We used to go to Kosher Deli all the time, man. We lived. My dad was an adopted Jew. We ate at the Kosher Deli frequently. So
yeah, man, they eat some wild stuff over here, man. I'm in a predominantly like Mexican neighborhood, man. We get some good stuff going on here, like traditional Mexican cooking, man.
Yeah, well, there's one thing I won't eat from that genre of food, and that's tripe, man. You can keep like it's what different than a sausage casing. Like if you ain't stuffing it with nothing, you can keep your entrails. I'm good. It's fine. Menudo. The idea, man. I don't know.
I like the rice water, man. That's pretty good. Well, I too much sugar now, but it was always good. We make French toast like
rice
that.
water, like horchata.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Horchata's bomb, man. I'm just gonna give you straight diet. Water is like such a lie. Such a lie. It's like creamy cinnamon, bro.
Oh,
It's like rice pudding.
so we make French toast that way, though.
Yeah.
So you go over there and you put in some eggs, some milk. You get a little bit of vanilla, some cinnamon. Sometimes you might use a little regular sugar, just a pinch of it, or like a little bit of brown. That vanilla is kind of like the key point there, and the cinnamon. And then you swirl it all up, man. You take your French toast, the nice thick stuff, dude. You put it in there, boom, boom, drop it twice, flip it. You know what I mean? Put it on the grill with some butter. Oh, and then you get some of the nice syrup in there with that buttery syrupy taste.
I do mine very similar. The only difference is I use heavy cream and to make like custard with the egg. And I use the vanilla too, but then I put a little almond extract in there too, or amaretto, depending on how special you want to be. The almond extract kind of works better. But yeah, bomb. Delicious.
Yeah, they don't make it like that when you go out at all. So, yeah, I love making that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Too much sugar these days. You get old.
Yeah, I try not to. But then now that I live upstate New York, like now we have Stewart's everywhere. We don't have 7-Elevens up here for whatever reason.
Okay.
So Stewart's is like known for their ice cream.
And in trouble there.
And like it's really cheap. It's really cheap. Even in this horrible like economy, like food wise, it's really cheap. Like get a gallon of ice cream for like $4.50. And it's good. Like so good. So yeah,
we're making the chat hungry, man. They're all gonna be eating after this.
Don't ever get me started on food, man. Like I'm overweight because I eat what I cook.
Yeah. Well, dude, I even like vegetarian chili. When you take some bell peppers, put it in there. You take some onions, you get a nice smell going on, man. You run the beans in there and some nice cuts of tomato in there. Man, you just get a nice aroma in there. You don't necessarily need the meat in there. I tried turkey with it once. I wasn't so happy. I like more of the flavor with it, without anything or with regular meat in there. But you got to develop the sauce a little bit if you put the hamburger in there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, you get away with a lot more if you don't put the meat in.
Yeah, I get in trouble with ice cream, man. I can't have that in the house because I'll eat it every day. So,
all right, so everyone's gonna say a prayer for me tonight. That tomorrow I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find the biggest crystal that's ever come out of the mine I'm going to. All right, everyone's you gotta put it into the ether. I'm coming home with the biggest one that's ever been pulled out of there. The biggest and the nicest.
So, what is that place called? Is it?
Yeah, it's called Mohawk Valley Mineral Mining. And what's super cool about this particular location is most of the mines that have been that are open to the public that you can go to, pay to, for a day, whatever. They've been open for like 100 years. Okay? This place has only been open since 2019. So, it's really, really like virgin area where you're not like pulling through tailings and stuff. Like they go in there with equipment, they rip out sidewall for you. You could go dig through that. You could start digging out sidewall yourself and whatnot. And the place is known for extremely high quality and unique Herkimer quartz. So Herkimer quartz is not always, but it's generally double terminated quartz. They have very, very clear samples that come out of there. Some of them are like kind of nice size, like 1 inch, something like that. But this place is known for spectacularly large Herkimer diamonds. Some of the pieces that they pull out are the size of bowling balls. They also have skeletal type quartz where it's layered in its structure, internal structure, and because it's clear, you can actually see internally where those structures built out, and it gives it like a skeletonized look. So I'm pretty pumped. There's a lot of different mineral compositions that are there.
Well, this is one of the pictures from the mine. I just pulled it up online.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's like in matrix with other crystals, which is really cool.
Let's see. There was another
do you
one.
see any of like the really big ones? It should
Like
come.
this?
That one's yeah, like that. Look, that's somebody's arm. And you see how it's skeletonized like that? You could actually see the formation internally as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for that. And you know, if I get a whole bunch of you know, nice samples and whatnot, you know, send them out to the crew a little bit, see if there's any cool tests that we can do with them.
Dude, that looks cool.
I'm hoping for
that'd be on
like
my
that,
shelf right there.
Yeah, right. I might have to reinforce it, but yeah.
Oh,
For something like that's got to weigh 20, 30 pounds.
that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know that they're pulling those kind of things out of the ground. Maybe, you know, maybe not that size, but maybe even the other sides would be cool too.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. I don't want to say anything's ever a guarantee, but going home from a place like that without like a good amount of quartz it's not a thing, you know. Like there's a massive deposit there. You're gonna find the stuff. You can pull through tailings and find stuff worth having, worth taking home. But digging into the sidewall and whatnot, you get into a pocket. You know, there's some pieces that are not quite that big, but like the size of your hand, it's fairly common to find there.
Okay.
So
I got another one for you, Joe. Give me 1 second to save it and I'll pull up. When you say double terminated, I want to make sure this is what you mean. So let me pull this down for 1 second. Find it. All right, right there. There we go.
yep, that's double terminated. So as we've discussed 100 times before, you know, quartz generally has a directional flow to it, right? So it always flows toward the point. Now, in these cases, there's 2 points, and the flow patterns of it are out both sides. Which, if you want to think about it in an interesting kind of fashion, right? That sort of makes it like a monopole. Like, I'm not saying that it exhibits that sort of exact property, but it sort of does at the same time. I haven't experimented with it at all really enough to, you know, say that definitively, but theoretically, I think that would make sense.
Yeah, well, that looks pretty cool, man. It'd be interesting to do tests on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to find a lot of different tests, man, to do on these things. Let's see. Look up the quartz to grow in China.
Well, I don't think we can afford that anymore. They ain't bringing it in. Would have been a good idea a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so so because these are Herkimer type quartz crystals, you know, it's that shape and the double termination that kind of defines what it is. There's obviously much larger quartz crystals examples out there. You know, I've seen spires and stuff, you know, several feet long and huge. You know, absolutely incredible. I'm not saying that stuff like that's not there, but that's not what they're known for. As far as I know, whatever Herkimers they pulled out of there at this point are like the world record for Herkimer type quartz.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. All the pictures online show everybody's got a big one.
Yeah, pretty much everybody got a big one. Not cheap to go there for what it's worth. You can go to like a quartz mine, dig for a day for like $20, $30 usually. This place is like $100, $125 to go to for the day.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, when you're shelling out $125 and it's considered a good value and a good day, you know you're coming home with some stuff.
Oh, you better,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're coming home with stuff.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. The look of them and everything, and they're like this big, man. Seriously, like the ones that everybody's carrying away. That's about the size.
No joke, man. They're huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, well, listen, it's you keep everything you find. You know, that's their policy. So if I find one of those huge ones, they don't get it back. So if it's 25 grand, it's 25 grand. I mean, I hate to say it, like I just have like, you know, like I have like this hard time parting with things that I really, really like. I feel like I've had to do that a whole bunch in my life generally. But when it comes to rocks, like I just simply haven't done it at all. Like I have, and I've shown this piece before. I found this huge piece of corundum. Look how big this piece of sapphire is. See, you know, this thing weighs 5 pounds, and it's a blue-gray sapphire. All right, and this thing's probably worth a couple grand if I had to guess. You know, but like I won't sell it, and sometimes I need to, but I won't. Sometimes I need to, but I won't.
What about that green one behind you?
Yeah, that's a cool piece too. I didn't find that piece, so I actually bought this piece. Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a piece of malachite. Malachite.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the green ones. I got this one too. This is a crisp trace. I think it's really green.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I found like just so much stuff. Like I found a lot of like sapphire corundum. There's never a piece like that big one. You know, I had like some really nice smaller specimens and stuff that I was like cutting into like some just like random gemstone, you know, doing some lapidary work on them and whatnot. Not hyper valuable, like not, you know, beautiful gem quality. It still looks beautiful when it's cut though. So, you know, whatever. A piece like that probably would cut better than some of the stuff I was, because that's got like a really nice blue color to it in the right, you know, when you get good light on it.
You'll have to take some high quality pictures, Joe, and send them.
Yeah, I have a good camera and I have a good light, and I just never do these things. You know, like I have no excuse.
Well, you might as well. I mean, you know what I mean? If we're talking about this stuff on the show, stuff like that. So,
yeah. What did Time Energy say? Is the sapphire solution necessary to grow? Sapphire is interesting the way that it grows, because it's aluminum oxide and it has to be super, super hot for it to begin to crystallize. So as far as I know, and don't quote me on this, but as far as I know, sapphires and rubies are not like brine solution crystals necessarily, and they're usually found in metamorphic rocks, so you know that there's a lot of heat and pressure involved, but there has to be some kind of aluminum oxide brine solution that leads to the initial deposition of it, you know, for it to crystallize. But I don't think it crystallizes directly out of brine like quartz does. I don't know if that answers that question.
I don't know. I think he's looking to see how to grow this stuff. So,
well, there's ways to grow sapphire and ruby. That's pretty, like, some of it you could do at your house. I've seen them grow rubies in a microwave in a crucible.
You know, I'll see if there's a patent on it. I'll put it on, and then we'll talk about it one day, because that's always an interesting thing when it comes to these crystals and stuff. Everybody wants to know how to make them work and things like that. Cut them. See if there's a whole thing around that.
Well, cutting them is that's like a whole entire, like I could talk about that if people are interested. But that's like a whole other like world of stuff. You don't need a lot of stuff to do it, you know. But like at the end of the day, like to do it well, you kind of do need some lapidary equipment, and that means that you're in for an investment.
Hmm.
CAD machine, flat lap. When I started out, I just had a Dremel and some sandpaper, to be honest. But
no grinding stone, nothing like that. No.
I mean, I used to have all this stuff, man. Like, but like, my workshop was incredible, man. Like I had every tool. Like, and if I thought of a tool that I didn't have, even if I didn't have an immediate use for it, I still went out and bought it. So, I had every damn tool, like, no matter what you're thinking of. No, like every kind of carpentry and construction tool. Yeah.
Oh.
I had every single kind of electrical tool that you could possibly need. Every single kind of it runs the gamut, man. Except for heavy construction stuff, I had it. I had old blacksmithing equipment. I had old different belt grinders, all sorts of stuff. Just like
Nice.
Yeah. Back when I was set up. Now I got a sandpaper. And I'm too lazy to get up, so it'd be like spit loop.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Joe. I sold most of my cabinetry equipment. I couldn't use it anymore, so somebody needed to use it. You know what I mean? They get more use out of it than I will. Yeah. So, okay. I got something to show you here. We were talking about the pancake coils.
Yeah.
By the way, I got some Schottky diodes that will be in a couple days. So I'll be able to turn on my Tesla coil again and this time run that motor. So I've been talking to Nick about it from DK Diker. And I think I came up with a plan because he got his motor to run. So I'm going to get mine to do too. So real quick, guys, just take a look at these. How they're run side to side. They're not run top to bottom like the one I have is. So that doesn't look that difficult to do. Just get a pipe in the center and, tape it off and then start rotating and super gluing. So that doesn't look bad at all as a build. The wiring is pretty much the same as the one I did, except for the way that they direct the field will be different. So, sorry, I know we're talking about rocks, and I came across this.
Cool.
I just want to share this. So, do you remember when we talked to Paul, or I talked to Paul, and he was using that device he has? Oh man, that thing got bright. Look at that.
Yeah, that's really bright.
So he had those 3 levels, right? And he had those plates. So he had one in the center and then a plate on top and bottom. And it was all on this big wheel thing. He turned it and the strings pulled and it'd go tighter like this and then come apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what it reminds me of. They're just closing the gap on the capacitor and it brings out the amount of energy in it. So when this came up and I'm seeing this, like I said, it may be a little bit different, but it kind of shows you where the field is. And it looks like by separating the two instead of having them together like speaker wire is, that you get to play in the field. Where right now, I don't get to play in that field at all.
Yeah, well, you need to work on that, man. You're playing in the field.
Considering it's such an easy build, man, it's basically go out and buy the material and then buy some super glue and try not to stick your fingers together. You know what I mean? Which is almost impossible when you're playing with this stuff in super glue. And then not sticking it to the table. That'll be another one.
I mean, that does kind of just look like some kind of basic inductance going on. Like it's nothing crazy, but it's cool. I like how it gets brighter.
Look at that. Hold on. Look at that pattern of light. it almost looks like a laser coming off of that. And I'm sure it's just the camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Picking
I
it
think
up.
that's a lens effect, but
No, it is. I'm just saying it looks cool.
it does.
So, oh man, it looks like a saw blade. And I know you can't see it here, but I'll drop this in the description for everybody, or excuse me, in the chat so everybody can look at it on their own. But you can see the thing. It looks like a complete saw blade the whole way up. That just looks cool.
Yeah, very neat.
So, Joe, are we going to see you over there tomorrow?
Yeah. I think that provided I have cell service, which I probably should, we'll link up. I'll bring my tripod, dump the camera out, and we could arrange a time, to go like live maybe, and we could do like you could just BS and have me dig it in the background. I'll check in with you every so often, whatnot, something like that. Or a worst case scenario, if that's not feasible, then I can grab some video footage and then edit it together into a nice little package, and we could show it after, whatever. I just really can't say what the cell service situation is going to look like there.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere.
I want to see like the area where you're digging at, what it looks like around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's like a little valley area or just
I inherently live in a valley. Like where I live is, it's the Catskill Mountains on one side, valley, and then the valley is very mountainous, so it just is what it is. There's the valley, and then you have on the other side is the Adirondacks. So like where I live in particular is like the foothills of the Catskills. If you go just north of me, it's the foothills of the Adirondacks.
I guess what I'm asking, Joe, is if they have some kind of thing that tells you like where this stuff normally forms. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they have that information right there when you come into the site. Say, hey,
right.
this
So
is
Herkimer's really, I don't want to, technically Herkimer diamonds only form in this part of New York. That's it, generally speaking. Now, other kinds of double terminated quartz do kind of exist as radical examples here and there, but there's no other major deposits in the world.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't really know what it is that made it form that this way here. A lot of it's out of matrix, so it's not formed in other crystal structures, or as a part of that. Like I think it was forming in dirt and stuff like mudstone or limestone or something like that. So, because the limestone's so soluble, it probably just got washed out, allowing for the reformation of the crystal in solution, as opposed to like in a small void where it becomes more like vein quartz or something like that, or the need for a matrix seed to start the precipitation process of the crystallization. I think that's what it is. It's got to be something to do with mudstone and limestone, because there's lots of that crap here, man.
Walter Wright can find some big crystals. Well, I hope Joe pulls some monsters out of the ground. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah, man. I'll appreciate anything that I get out of it and just have a nice day and something I've been looking for a long time. But that doesn't take away the fact that I want to pull a fucking honker right on out of there. Be like, oh, look at this. Give it a little thumb wipe, get all the dirt off. See what you're looking at.
Find out where some kid was pulling some big ones out and go over to that area as soon as they leave. You're like, well, I think I'm going over there.
Yeah, well, I have a knack with connecting and making friends with people. So I'll be sure to, try to make friends with the guy that runs the place so we can maybe
point you in the right direction.
Right, point me in the right direction, man. It's actually funny. He's from Long Island too, that guy, because I talked to him on the phone when I was booking it and whatnot. he saw my area code. He's like, "You're not from up here. What are you doing up here?" I was like, so.
So do you have to bring your own tools, or they give you whatever you need?
Well, I kind of asked that because I have very limited stuff to work with myself, and he said that he can loan me some stuff, so that's cool. But generally speaking, I think that, you know, if I'm going to be going back with any sort of regularity, then it's going to be worth it for me to, you know, get some basic, you know, like, you know, U-wing or E-wing or whatever it is, like kind of rock hammers and crap like that. And it's not terribly expensive, but you know, the trip is kind of costing me enough, so.
Dude,
I'm going there with like a sledgehammer. Sledgehammer, an axe, and a shovel.
Yeah. Get your framing hammer out. You know what I mean? Just rip that stuff up, man.
Yeah, the good news is that the stuff that you're trying to break through to get to the quartz is not all that hard.
No,
like, and trust me, I'll probably talk a whole nother tune tomorrow if I'm banging on the crap for long enough. But you know what I mean? Like in theory, it's not all that hard. Whereas, like I have a piece of quartz that I try to crack open. I was bashing it with a friggin' hammer.
Oh, good luck!
And it wasn't. Nothing was happening. Nothing. I didn't even scuff the damn surface. And I'm like, yo, the hardness scale is working against me here. You know, but yeah. So hopefully, like the limestone, the dirt, and like all that sort of stuff isn't that hard to get through.
Interesting. So hold on, Joe. I got this right here. Let me see if I can't share this. You see it?
It's small. What am I looking at? I see a hammer. I see a green hard hat. Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's a honker, bro.
Well,
that's big. That's the same size as the piece I just showed you.
Yeah, they're showing where they're digging it out of. That's the kind of stuff you're looking forward to. It looks like shale.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, it should be soft enough, sort of stuff. When you get into a pocket, and then look those. That's a beautiful size. You see the one that he had in his hand? They're like an inch big. That's beautiful.
Yeah, there's some. Oh man. Yeah, people go down there, man. They get all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, that's a cool one with the yellow in it.
Yeah, they have like citrine. They have amethyst there. They have smoky quartz there. It's all quartz varieties.
Oh, you got to wear your hard hat too.
Yeah. Yeah. So how it works is they have a membership fee, and with the membership fee, they give you a hard hat. So you get your hard hat. You pay your membership fee like once a year, I think, or something like that, and then you get and then every time you go, it's $100 if you want to dig at the mine full on, do whatever you need to do. Or it's $25 if you just want to pull through tailings. So everything that they've already pulled and moved out and just like sift through it. You find a lot of stuff that way for cheap. But for like $1,000 a year or something like that, $750 or $1,000, you could just have an open access permit to go dig the place whenever you want.
Well, hard hat's nice.
Which honestly, you know, like for some people that's an opportunity into a job of self-employment. I'm serious. You know, like a small Herkimer quartz, like a nice quality one, is like $15-$20. You know?
Yeah, well, it looked like that's what the guy was doing on Instagram that I just pulled up. He gets them, puts them on video, shows them, and then sells them probably.
Yep, $15-$20. And if you made a piece of jewelry out of it, $200. Legitimately, just by throwing some silver around it, making a nice pendant out of it, something like that.
Nice.
You know, you make a living that way if you wanted to. Yes. And you pull up some of them honkers and stuff, and like there's a whole market for that too.
What's going on, Papa Bale? Said he used to do sell some precious gemstones, digging them up on his own. Yeah.
I love that stuff, man. I'm all about it. I go everywhere I go. That's like a natural setting. I'm always looking at the geology just to see if there's going to be anything interesting in the area because I like taking stuff home with me. if I start, picking up on signs of stuff, I start to look hard, man. I'm into that rock hound and stuff. It's good.
Nice. Yeah, I wish they had the more of that where I could find it around here that I knew about. Like it probably exists 30 miles from me, and I just don't know.
I was about to say, like, I could research it for you and let you know what you have in your area. It's a nice day trip. You know what? It doesn't have to be hard or exhausting. It can be, right? If you're having to break through rock and all this stuff. But most of the times that I go out and do this sort of stuff, I just go out for the day and it's basically a glorified walk in the wilderness,
Yeah.
or along the river or whatever I'm doing, and it's nice to be out there.
I'll bring my kids with me. They won't dig a hole in the backyard, but they'll still dig out there if they pick up some diamonds or quartz or something cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, right, you're in California, so I mean, bring a gold pan with you. I mean, I threw like we have all glacier gold here, and there's like all sorts of weird laws and stuff. And I'm not going to go into that aspect of it, but it's all fine gold by me, not like out west. And I threw 2 pans of gold in the other day, and 2 pans of dirt rather, sifted it out, and I got a couple of like decent flakes, like off of 2 pans. Like made me like say, you know what, it's a nice summer day or something. I have nothing to do. I'll sit there and do that. It's fun. You go in the water, you take the pan around. It's cool.
Yeah, sounds relaxing actually.
Yeah, it's right. It's something to do that's more than nothing.
Yeah.
Like you just have to go into it like realizing like chances of you actually coming home with a worthy amount of gold for whatever effort you put in is probably not all that likely.
Yeah, we used to go to the falls when I was a kid, and it was about 20 feet drop with the falls, but the pool under it was super deep. So it was about 15 feet deep when you went down there. So we used to do big cannonballs off the top, you know what I mean? Hit the water, man, splash it out. You know what I mean? That was the coolest time right there.
How far from the ocean are you?
About 30, 40 miles.
Okay, so
it's not bad. It's like
I know
day
some
trip.
places in Southern California in the ocean over there, you could actually find nephrite jade,
Really?
which is, nephrite jade's where it's at, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
But, you got to know what you're looking for. That's all.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find a place that does it because California's got weird laws and they like to slap fines on you. So
my understanding with the California and the nephrite jade is that you're able to take off of public land. You could take the nephrite jade if it's in clear view, but you can't actually mine for it. So you can't start digging into the side. And the whole reason for that is because it's at the ocean level. They don't want you digging into the dunes and bluffs.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. They don't want you digging into a bluff because you have enough people do that and you got problems.
Yeah.
So as much as I am for deregulation of things and just doing whatever, that's not a bad reason why they've restricted it. It has nothing to do with the jade. It has everything to do with the bluff. So.
A little more common sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
those
hey,
things are like big sand cliffs. So I mean, shit.
Yeah. Well, they say don't go out by what is it, Seal Beach or. I can't remember the place out there, but there's a little island that's out there right off at the coast of California. And that's usually where all the sharks hang out. So they tell you, hey, how about don't go over there with your boat? And especially if you have a problem, And they always had a rumor out there about the black shark. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
Not black shark, no.
It's a monster-sized shark that's supposed to hang out in this area. And it's supposed to scare off all other sharks when it comes out. It was a wild show they had on it on the Discovery Channel, man. I get all into that. And they start talking about the guy.
Sharks are awesome, man.
Dude, he was out there chumming the water, and then there was sharks following, and all of a sudden nothing, and then it just ripped the whole thing right off the boat. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, please, man. I grew up shark fishing, at like shark and tuna fishing out of the Hudson Canyon.
Nice.
100 miles offshore, bang, do that. And when I got my own boat, started going out shark fishing myself, but I didn't go out to the canyon, although I could have with my boat. But, I used to just go like, 10, 20 miles offshore, whatever, do some shark fishing. Ridiculously big sharks out there, ridiculously big. And like, I had one scare the shit out of me one time. He took the bait for maybe like, I didn't realize because I had live bait on. Well, he died and he floated like my balloon was maybe like 12 feet from the boat or something like that. And I noticed it was getting a bit close, but the leader, off of it was closer to the boat than that. He came up and friggin' nabbed it from right next to the boat and launched himself out of the water. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Scared the shit out.
Hold on. Let's go back.
It was a makeup.
Why would you have live bait on you around sharks?
Wait, what?
Why would you have bait on you around sharks? What was going on there?
The bait was on a hook attached to a leader to the balloon. It was it was out, but the way that the drift was going, it brought it back. It brought it back in
by
closer.
You.
I didn't see it, man. It was, we were drinking. And we had more than one rod out. So it's not like I was tending the rod. It was just like in the rod holder,
There's a lot of things, man, that I don't mind volunteering for, but sharks in water is not one of them.
Yeah. Bunch of assholes. You got to punch them in the nose. Give them the 1-2.
All your punches slow down in the water. Yeah. There's none of that. You have no advantage in the water to them.
No.
They're done. I'd just be like the fat guy sitting there like a seal and then come up and eat me.
I'll tell you what, though. All right. All things being equal, you have a better shot in the water with a shark than he has against you on land.
Well, yeah.
Just saying. So, you equal the line out. Who's the man? Just saying.
Yeah, you won't see me in a wetsuit getting in there to play with sharks. I'm sorry. That's not my cup of tea. Electricity, fine. That's great. No sharks. I don't even like the ocean. I don't even like the sand in my crack, bro. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny, bro. Yeah, rough wave. Used to go out there, man, all the time, and then get on the little boogie boards and stuff. And until I found out there was a bunch of sharks that live out in that area, and then I said, "Well, I'm getting older and smarter. Let's never go out there again." And then Shark Week comes on, and you're like, "Well, that'll never happen again."
So here's what was weird about when I was living on Long Island, because it's like we all know it, but you have to like rinse it from your mind, because all of our best beaches, right? It's like Jones Beach right there. I lived in the town that Jones Beach was in, for crying out loud. You go down to Jones Beach. It's absolutely beautiful. You go in the water. The waves are nice. You're having a good time. And then you go to the like aquarium. Okay. And then you see like this big, nasty freaking shark. Thing's 15, 17 feet long. It's got these gnarly teeth and shit. It's like whatever. And then you look and you realize that when you research these things, or you fish, or about these things, okay, those exact sharks, all right, they live right in the surf in like 6 feet of water at most. That's where they live. And you're out there right in their environment doing it. I mean, people get bit sometimes, but like not bad, because they're kind of like, like a mackerel shark sort of deal. Like they got like spiny little teeth. I'm sure it hurts, but you're not going to die. And it's not going to bite your leg off either. But regardless, dude, it's right by your feet, man. It's weird. It's huge.
It's like saying you go out and play with those bull sharks. No, thank you.
Yeah, well, no, you don't play with bull sharks, man. They don't play.
Yeah,
these other kinds of sharks I'm talking about kind of play. Like if you kick one, you kind of probably be like, "What the hell was that?" and feel a slap on your leg and it'd swim away or whatever. But like, not a bull shark. No.
It's like going out and saying, "Let's go crocodile hunting," right? And then they go out and then they go swimming right over where they hung bait. And I just never understood that watching the Swamp People show. They're like, yeah, we got this dock over here, and by the way, we caught this big, gigantic monster dinosaur one, and then, oh, let's go swimming. It's like, oh, yeah, that sounds like the best idea in the world, buddy. Like, what is wrong with you?
We actually talked about this when Mike was on one time. It came up. But after Hurricane Katrina, okay, whenever that was, 05 or whatever, right? When all the water was risen from the Gulf, all these bull sharks had free run of the friggin' place, okay? And when the waters receded, because bull sharks could actually survive in fresh water, okay, a lot of them got landlocked in all the lakes surrounding the delta.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you had these lakes that you'd think like, oh, okay, it's a freshwater lake, whatever. Yeah, this freshwater lake has bull sharks in it, for Christ's sakes. And guess what? They ate all the other fish and now they're hungry.
Yes.
Just saying. Because that's how they roll.
Well, they were showing that when everything got flooded in some of these homes, they were finding these big animals in there, you know what I mean? Because of the water came in so much. Yeah.
Well, during Sandy, when Sandy came up, on Long Island, man, we had sharks swimming in the freaking street. Like that's not cool either. But
no.
But they're not going to get landlocked or nothing. Like, at least don't have to worry about that. Once the floodwater's gone, they're gone too. So fine.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Dang, man. Yeah, I'm not into that, man. I'm not into the aquatic things. I don't move well in water. So I know I'm a target, and I don't like to be in that situation. Yeah. It's like going out and riding a bull. There's no outcome that comes out of that without you hurt in some way. And I'm sorry, they're tying that bull's nuts off to make him angry, and you're out there going to ride it. Yeah, you're going to get hurt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no thank you there. I have no desire to do all those things, man. And then what was that stupid show we watched as a kid where they go out and that's all they would do is just do stupid things like that. Oh man, it had those two crutches that went like this.
Jackass?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's man, Jackass. Oh. Hell yeah.
The bull. It pissed the bull off.
Honestly. Steve-O was literally epic. Johnny Knoxville was literally epic. They all were, but like those two guys were out of friggin' hand.
Dude, the funniest one was the outhouse where the guy was sitting in it and then they lift it and they drop it and this big old crap explosion is all over him, man. So nasty.
Yeah. I like when they started pranking each other though, like hard. Like, this is crazy stuff. Wait,
like the giant hand when they come in the room?
The giant hand with the midget. You remember that? Wasn't there? I think there was a bag of flour involved in that situation too, like a big spring-loaded arm hand and a bag of flour and a midget. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, they have the formula, man. They have the formula.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh. Stefan says, not a fish to go noodling for. Yeah, well, no, definitely not. I'll tell you what, though.
That's one thing. That's what he did.
Like, I'm far from a coward, but I'll tell you what. I will not go noodling. I have a big time problem with sticking my hands in between rocks where I don't know.
You've never got noodling? I've got noodling.
Snapping turtles is like no joke and stuff. Like, I just won't do it.
Dude, we got a lake right next to my house, and I've been noodling over there, man, catching catfish with my hand. It's not as big as these giant ones they're doing. You know what I mean? Like this, though.
Yeah, it's still
reach in there and grab it, pull it right on out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to catch nothing with my friggin' hands. Thanks.
That's a whole adventure in itself.
Like, I'd go to catch like a deer with my hands before I go sticking my hand in between rocks and stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. Anytime something's got antlers, I worry about it. You know what I mean? Because like I'm getting poked somewhere. So
I just think of that as something to hold on to. And once I got control of your head, bro, like you better be rutting hard because like I ain't weak. I'm a big boy and chances are I weigh more than you. That's it. Like I might not be tall, but Yo, listen, I'll bring it. I'll bring it down. They call it a brick shit house, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of what's going on with that.
Dude, I was tripping out my neighbors one day. We had a petrified tree, right? It's been down for like 10 years. And it weighed nothing. But it was huge, right? This thing's like, 12 foot long. And it's a big trunk of it. So it's like this big around, man. So I walked out to the front yard with it over my shoulder one day. And I had to, bust it in half so that just yard art kind of thing, California. So I go over there. I told my wife, okay, hey, look, I'm strong as hell. Watch me. Look, I start curling it, man. And then freaking people coming by on the street are like tripping out, getting out their phone and checking it out. Now, don't get me wrong. This thing was only like 30 pounds, man. It was like, there was nothing to it. It was like dust almost. It's just hilarious to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Things you do when you're young.
He makes a good point. His full size buck could probably throw you 30 feet by the horns. Listen,
Yeah.
That neck is like, like it's serious.
It's like seeing a moose. You go over there.
Oh my, you ain't messing with one of those.
No, heck no. You try to make friends with that thing, man.
I'll tell you, there's moose where I live too, except this is not common. There's not a lot of them, but they live here. They exist. I've heard wolves too. They say there's no population, except they keep on seeing them. So
yes,
yeah, mountain lions, same deal. Say there's no population, but everyone gets them on the camera. So,
dude, I get raccoons here. Like, we never had raccoons for years, and then a raccoon family moved in, man. And one day I come out front and they're eating the cat food, and they don't even mess with you, man. They're little punks. So they're just looking at you, right? And then they'll keep eating like this, and they're just stuffing this stuff down. And then, like, you're going, well, what are you doing here, right? And he just stands up on two legs, like, what's up? Like, what's up, dude? Like, come on. And I'm like, what? And one day I had like a little cat door to go in my garage. So I show up and there's this raccoon mama sitting in my garage. Like, dude, this is my place now. Like, you need to get out, is what she was doing. I'm like, no, okay. You don't understand. I'm the old man. So I took my 8-foot level, man, and hooked the rope around it, and I made myself a little one of those catching poles. And I said, nope, you're going back outside. So I took that sucker back outside, man. In the next couple of weeks, came back with their little babies. It's like, now what? I'm like, can't win, man.
Cute.
I got a whole family of them outside that just eat cat food now. So any night that I go outside, you have to look to the right to always make sure and see the raccoons. And like, even the kids are punks, man. They get up there like, hey, what's up? And they stand up on their own 2 feet. And then there's like 5 of them. So it's like a gang against me. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll keep giving you the food then. Yeah. I got a whole nature thing going on around my house, man.
Oh, me too. I looked out and saw all the forest animals just outside my window right there. The other day. I have 6, 7 deer that live outside my window.
Oh.
I have squirrels and chipmunks running around and bunnies. And then every so often, like either hawks or eagles will come down and eat the bunnies. And yeah, I'm sure there's coyotes. There's definitely coyotes. I haven't seen the bear yet here. I've seen bear in my area. They're all here. They're just all the woodland critters and shit.
Yeah, those squirrels they're smart. Like you ever make little traps for them and peanuts and stuff, and then they always outsmart you no matter what you put up for them.
There are a lot of things, but dumb ain't one.
Yeah, you could do a whole show. There is a guy that does a whole show on it. Man, makes all these kind of traps and stuff, and it runs through everything and gets around every obstacle, man. Yeah, I love those shows, man. Or the guy puts them at his window, and he'll just put little nuts outside and then videotape them coming up for the nuts and stuff, and they're like taking everything and naming them.
They set up like these little obstacle courses with them to see where they can trip them up. They always do it. That's the thing.
Well, they always win. Those squirrels always win, man. You can't.
Yeah. No brown bear by me. East Coast got the black bears. Yeah, limited state says, yeah, you ain't messing with no damn moose. Damn right you're not. Not if you want to talk about it.
No. Well, even
Yeah.
some of the bears, man, you just kind of go the other way if you can.
I think probably maybe the only thing that's got a one up on a moose in North America is probably a bison. You know, you get one of those huge 3,000-pound friggin' bisons. It's just like, you know, it's like disproportionately large. Things, it's right. It's like a Hummer, you know, with horns.
Not the good kind, no.
Yeah, no.
We have a bunch of cattle ranches out here, so you always get the cows and stuff, and the beautiful morning smell that comes with them. But yeah, we a lot of dairies.
Yeah, we got them here too. A lot of cow farms. But I'll tell you one quick story. It's kind of funny. We used to go to vacation in Pennsylvania. You know, and the Amish are like, you know, big up in there, and you know, I had heard from a whole bunch of people like you have to go to this one specific Amish ice cream place. It's so good, best ice cream you'll ever have, and whatnot. So we're taking the drive in there, and surrounded by all these dairy farms, and the smell was so terrible of fucking piss and shit. Okay, the whole entire drive in there, and it's not this kind of smell that you get used to either. It's like this smell that just intensifies and whatnot. And you rolling your windows up, and there's no getting rid of it. Okay, like you feel like it's on your clothes for Christ's sakes after you're like in there for long enough, and you have to drive like 20 minutes through this goddamn diabolical stench in order to get to this fucking ice cream place. And then you get there and you get out of the car and your eyes start tearing because it's literally on a dairy farm too. And you know, you get in there and you're waiting in line, and as soon as you take this first bite of ice cream, you're like, this is the best ice cream I ever had. And then I realized something. This isn't the best ice cream I ever had necessarily. Just putting anything other than the smell of shit and piss onto my face right now would be the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm like, you know, and I was like, yo, is the joke on me here? Like, was that the joke? Is that you get to drive through all the pee and the poopies for 40 friggin' miles? You know, like, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, it's so funny, man. Yeah, it is kind of that way, man.
Yeah, and we got Amish and Mennonite people here too, where I live, but like they don't have a community established, so what becomes it's just random. You know, you'll have like 2 Amish families. You wouldn't, you know, and that's it. And the only way you know that they exist is that because sometimes you're driving home at night and you're like some weird taillights I see up there, and then you realize it's like, oh, that's a buggy.
Well, dude, that wouldn't be bad. Like to have Amish people, like I might fit in, man. Do a barn raising, get some beer and some food, and cook out while you're doing it. I mean, I go for that like every day.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, listen, the Amish community is the prime example of good quasi-communism, right?
No, don't even go there.
Well, I'm not using good communism in the same sentence is never a good thing. But I've said a family is that same proposition, right? But that doesn't expand indefinitely to something that actually works, right? When you have a small community of people that are just there like, oh shit, you know, Abe, you ran out of carrots? Well shit, have some carrots. You know what I mean? Like then it works. You know what I mean? Like then it's fine. It's like, oh, well, you helped me raise my barn last week. Well, let's raise your barn this week. You know, right? Communal living, which is the same exact thing as small scale communism.
No, it sounds way better. I like it.
It's just a dirty word, man.
No, it's a real dirty word.
Filthy, dirty word, man. I do not agree with communism. I'm throwing that out there. I'm just saying, yes, small scale commune, you know, sense of community living where you take care of other people because you're a decent enough human being without taking the shirt off your back and giving it to the government.
Oh man, yeah, no government thing. Small community's fine. I love that. Everybody get together and do something. Used to be that way with all your buddies. You know what I mean? And that I think that's before every one of them got married, and then somebody else got in their ear. Or like you go like, hey, let's all go do this. And then we all build something. So
yeah. Hippie communes do not work.
no.
Well, they don't work for the reason that the Amish community does work, is that the Amish community has a central common belief system, that's organized and acts as a mainstay of charity, so.
Well, I don't know if it's charity. They all work hard.
I'm not saying charity in that way. They literally have Amish insurance funds that are run through these churches and whatnot, because what they do is they pay tip, right? And it's a certain percentage of everything you earn, and all the Amish families comply with this. And all that tip goes into more than just running the church. It also goes into kind of like an Amish community fund. And the reason that they do this is because they don't have a lot of the traditional things like we have in our society, like insurance and things like that. So when an Amish person gets sick, they don't not go to the hospital all the time. They might go to the hospital, get this huge hospital bill. That would be a huge blow and burden, to the family. So rather than the family just absorb that comes out of that sort of church insurance fund. Then there's natural disasters and stuff like that, or unfortunate events that happen. Somebody's house burns down or whatever have you. Well, they don't believe in paying outside the community for like that sort of thing. So then the community has to come together and try to help them through that, and they do but they're also paying into it. So it's like a give and a take.
No, I get it. I like this communal garden. I'd be in on that. I love
that's cool. That's a great idea.
I love vegetables and gardening. Those are fun. Yeah. I wish they would do something like that where I live, man. Just set it up, get a whole thing going, get some young kid to plow the fields for us, and we all go over and plant stuff and water it and take care of it, you know what I mean? And then pass it out when it's done. Like we used to do zucchini here in my backyard when I had a big garden. Now I give them out to all the neighbors and stuff. My other neighbor has oranges, so they pass out the oranges, my other neighbor likes to grow the melons, the honeydews and stuff like that.
Melons.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it was a really good community thing, man. I did strawberries for a while. Oh, it tastes so much better coming out of your garden, man.
Oh, hell yeah, it does. Yeah. That's the way.
So, yeah. Sorry, man.
Fun episode tonight, though. See, we got started. We kept it to physics for a little bit, then we did whatever we wanted to, because that's what we do.
That's what we do. That one though gets me though, man. That Schauberger one. I'd love for somebody to be able to do that. If somebody could pull that off and tell everybody how they did it, that'd be awesome.
I would love to know, man. Yeah, please. Anybody that's willing to take on that experiment, get in touch with us. Document, man, because I want to see more of that. That was cool.
Well, yeah, then tell somebody who's got a nice camera to come by if you don't have one, man, and then just, do all the pictures, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the physics community who'd love to see it too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, all right, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate you guys all in the chat, man. We had a great night together, man, and Joe and I had fun, man, talking to everybody and doing all the cool stuff. So, man, thank you.
PP streams.
I didn't even get to show my guy peeing from the fountain. Oh, that's okay. Too much fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a great night.
Peace and love.
The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. With conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.